1915 to 1919 was a transitional period in hairstyling, as styles went from the full, romantic, voluminous styles of the Edwardian period into the bob of the 1920s. This experimental time in hairstyling had a lot of variation in silhouette and style, as you can see from this article from 1915. For this tutorial, I focused on these images. In the front, I focused on these face-framing waves that you see in the period. And in the back, I wanted to experiment with a psyche knot, a Greek-inspired bun that was popular in the Edwardian and teens eras. To prep my hair, I set the front of it in faux marcel waves. I'll link to my tutorial on how I did this below. And the back was set in pin curls. If I had naturally curly hair or voluminous hair, I probably could have skipped curling the back, but I don't. I have limp, fine hair, and so I need extra volume, which is why I'm also brushing this through. I need smooth, voluminous hair in the back. My hair needs to go to one side of my head, and to make sure that I stay balanced, I need it to be opposite of my part. So my part is on my right, which means my hair for this step needs to go to my left. Holding my hair at 90 degrees, so straight out from the side of my head, I am brushing it smooth, making sure that there are no bumps or lumps in my hair and that it's following the natural contour of my head. And then I'm going to hold it in place temporarily with a hair elastic. Starting at the center, about an inch up from my hairline, I'm going to place a row of bobby pins going diagonally so it's wider at the top, thinner at the bottom, interlocking the pins as I go. I'm now going to add a hairpiece to the mix because I don't have a lot of hair naturally. If I did have a lot of density, I might be able to skip this step, or if I wanted less drama, I could have skipped it, but I like drama. So I've clipped it in right along that row of hairpins. I'm using a fall or an extension style piece. You could also use a switch style piece, and then I'm clipping it up out of the way for the next step. And now I'm going to take my remaining back hair, brush it smooth, and then I'm going to wrap it around my hand and gently remove my hand, leaving a fold of hair. The trick to this is to keep the hair really smooth and flat against the head, and then just to remove your hand really slowly. To pin this, I am using a double back method. To do that, you will grab a piece of hair with your pin, pivot, grab more hair at the root, and push it in. So again, you're going to grab a little hair from the edge. You're going to pivot, grabbing hair from the root and pushing in. Now that the fold is secure, I am going to add a couple of pins to the top of that fold, double check everything in the mirror. It doesn't have to be perfect at this point, I just need it secure enough with pins and a little hairspray that I can move on to the next step. At this point, I released my hairpiece just to make sure I hadn't caught it in any pins accidentally before it became a problem, and it had, so I'm really glad I checked. Sometimes you just gotta stop and pause, especially when you're doing things by feel, and just make sure everything is actually in the right place before moving on, so that's what I did here. Taking that remainder of my own hair, not the fake hair, my hair that was left over from the fold, I brushed it through, gently teased it, and then rolled it into a really loose roll before pinning it as the base of my bun in the back. Time to work on the faux hair now. For this, I brought it to the front, brushed it through so it was smooth, and then began to twist to create the psyche knot. And I have to say, this is probably confusing to watch because it was confusing to do. Doing it backwards in a mirror, trying to twist and make a loop was a lot for my brain. I got there in the end though. It came out nice. I pinned the base of the loop with a few large bobby pins and then fluffed it out and added another bobby pin just to make sure that it stayed in place in that lovely loop shape. Now, technically a psyche knot, the rest of that hair would just be twisted around the base of the knot, but honestly I had too much hair. My hairpiece was a little long, so I just created a second loop to see what would happen, and I really like it. It actually looks a lot like some of the images I was seeing, so while not properly a psyche knot, I liked it, so I just went with it. Looking in the mirror, that lower loop, that part, the top part of the fold, just needed to be pinned up a little bit so it was more as part of those psyche knots at the top, so I repinned that. And then it was time to work on refining that fold again. After all the futzing and all of the work that I'd been doing in the back, it got a little messy. So I simply took my fingers and very gently took the edge and rolled that hair under and repinned, creating a much crisper line. This is why I didn't put a huge amount of pins in originally, because I knew I was going to have to go back and repin and finalize this, but now it looks great. It's time to play with Marcel waves now. Starting on the left-hand side, I brushed out each Marcel wave, brushing it straight out and keeping it flat, not adding any twist to it. Once that was done, I stacked them together and then brushed them together to incorporate all of the waves in one piece. To control the curl and define the wave pattern a little bit more, I used a lightweight hair oil. You could also use a silicone-based gloss or shine spray instead. I then started to mold the hair and define each wave. So I'm using duckbill clips. In each dip of the wave, I'm putting a clip in just to help define it a little bit more and mold it to the shape of my face. Moving around the ear, I just manipulated the hair so that it fit my ear really well and made sure to pin it right behind the ear to hold that in place. Once I got behind the ear, I took a hair comb and just secured that hair right there. At the end of this hair, I needed to look at and see where I should place this. Should I place it in the side? Should it go around back? Eventually, I ended up putting it around the back, sort of continuing that sweep from the fold. It just sort of helped create a real smooth line as I created what I called my ice cream cone, where it kind of goes from the cone at the bottom and this swirl of hair up at the top is really the shape that I was trying to make. Moving to the center front, I again brushed out each Marcel wave individually before gathering them all together and brushing it as one piece of hair. Once I'd gathered and brushed all the hair together, I brushed it to the side to create that side part. Added some more hair oil just to define the waves and get rid of the frizz, and then continued on with the duckbill clips, defining each and every wave. So I will admit that this process can be a little frustrating sometimes, even when you've set your curls correctly, but it really is just a matter of manipulating the hair, working with it, observing it, looking for those wave patterns that sometimes aren't as obvious. You'll note that I am running my fingers through my hair. I use tension and then take the tension away just to better incorporate the hair together and define those waves. Once I reach the side section that I've already done, I'm making sure that I'm stacking the waves on top of what I've already done so that it is all in one pattern. Once I get to the back of the ear again, I place another comb just to secure that hair in place. And then I drew the hair up, this time on the front side of the bun, and just tucked it up underneath. I didn't need any more hair in the back, so. I next added a little bit of working hairspray just to start that setting process. I like to use light layers of hairspray, so that's the first one. Define that front a little bit better. And then I just pulled it onto my face a little bit more and around my ear to create the ultimate look I'm going for. I'm now going to take a small section from the right-hand side. I want to create a deeper part and just bring that defined curl a little bit over my forehead a little bit more. So I already have some hair oil on my hands, so that helps control the frizz. And then I'm going to tease it just a little bit so that I can more easily manipulate this hair later on. And then I'm going to use the duckbill clips just to place and define these waves. Again, making sure I'm stacking on top of the waves that are below so everything is lined up in one pattern. I'm now going to add a little bit of hairspray, and then I'm going to start manipulating this hair just a little bit more. I want to make sure that it's incorporated into the waves below, as well as bring it down onto my forehead just a little bit more. Because I've teased the hair, I have a little bit more control, and I'm able to manipulate this a little easier than I was doing before. I didn't tease everything because I don't need to, but this front section definitely needs a little bit of a tease just for that control. This method of using lots of light layers of hairspray, letting it dry in between, works really well for this type of style where you need to have hold and definition, but you still want it to look like hair in the end and not too stiff or helmety. It works really well for this. So I have a little section right here on the top that I need to cover up some messiness. So I'm going to take a little bit of a section from the side here again and wrap it around the front. This is that secret section that I talk about in my Marcel wave video, and it really came in handy for this particular hairstyle. And again, I'm going to try to line up as best I can the waves to the bottom just so it looks like it's all one thought. And we're on to the last section, yay! I am going to proceed the way that I have with the other two sections, brushing each Marcel wave individually before mushing them together and brushing them as one piece, adding some hair oil for frizz control and definition. I will admit that this side was the hardest to manipulate. I'm not sure why that is. Part of it is I was on my non-dominant side, I think, but also I think I probably should have brushed it through a little bit more, and you can see that I'm brushing it now. It just needed a little bit more brush work to bring the waves together. And that's a good reminder. In modern hairdressing, we tend to use our fingers and finger style hair, and these old-fashioned styles are designed to be brushed. So you won't ruin it by brushing it. In fact, you'll probably make it better. I'm just tucking the ends of that section up into the bun again. Continuing to layer hairspray and then just refining that front section a little bit more. Repeating what I've done on the other side, layering hairspray, bringing it a little bit more forward onto my face, all that good stuff. Time to check the back and actually see what I've done since it's all been by feel, and I am very pleased with the results. So it's time to add a decorative comb while I have the mirror in my hand. And then it's time to take off those duckbill clips. The hairspray has all dried underneath, so revealing the final results of those waves. And then I'm going to add a last layer of hairspray just to make sure everything got covered. There were a couple of sections that just didn't feel secure to my head, so I added a couple of hidden bobby pins and a comb just so it felt good. And here she is in all her glory. I have to say, I really like how this came out. There are so many great options for hair ornaments in this era, and here are a few, of course, decorative combs, as I've got a couple examples. This is an example of a period bandeau. This one clips in, and it is meant to go right across the forehead. Isn't it cute? This is another style of bandeau. I've taken an applique from Joann's and a piece of silk that I literally just pinned together. I'm going to pin it to my head and then pin the applique right on top. So super easy, not hard to recreate at all. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and that you found some inspiration in it. Until next time.